on to the consent agenda. Okay, we'll close public comment.
I move the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, we approve the consent agenda. There's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes.
Commissioners, I
Yes.
will note that there was an error in one of the cover memos.
Right.
Word processing is both a blessing and a curse sometimes. So I do have a corrected one. This is for the fire hall communications tower. And the recommendation, unfortunately, referenced a different agenda item in your packet, but the proper recommendation, which you just did by your action on the consent calendar, was to approve the purchase and use agreement for the tower.
Yeah, it wasn't part of that material. Yeah.
And I have corrected request memos if anybody wants one. You can frame it and hang it on the wall.
Okay. And we've got some minutes to approve. Let's see, on the November 8th minutes, on page 2, and about 2/3 way down, Sarah Spade, her name, she was Sarah with an H.
Oh,
Just
okay.
little thing.
That was on the 8th?
November 8th.
Okay, thank you.
So we have minutes for the 8th and the 15th.
I'll move the minutes.
I'll second the motion.
And moved and seconded, we approve the minutes of November 8th and November 15th. No further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move on to commissioners' reports.
Well, last week, there was another meeting of the Higher Education Committee, which has grown to include quite a few constituents. We met over at Fort Worden. Scott Wilson has been heading that up. Some of the important folks who were there is we had the head of the Fort Worden State Park, and also a representative from Goddard College and Peninsula College. Peninsula has put the improvement of Building 202 as its top priority for capital improvements. Goddard is committed to having an undergraduate program out here in Port Townsend.
As well as graduate.
And yeah, as well as the graduate was going before, but now it's going to have undergraduates, and the idea is that with an undergraduate degree possible here, we hope that we'll be able to get some students coming over to the peninsula. We've got, as you know, we have a full-time person here who's working for Goddard here. I was pretty impressed by the reaction to the snow day. It's remarkable that a county with only about 10 or 11 trucks is able to clear the roads as quickly as they did. And Bob Hamlin set up a special website to let people know what some of the how to deal with the snow emergencies. It's pretty impressive. I'll be looking forward to having our local radio station so people can, while they're in their cars, find out what roads are open and closed, and instead of having to be on the bottom of the list from the radio stations over in Seattle. So I'm glad to see that that's moving along. I think we'll all be hearing David Mosley today, and I think he'll hear a pretty strong message that we're very concerned about the possible loss of the Salish. We've really been looking forward to returning, at least partially returning to the service we'd had before. I think it should be noted that even with the Salish and the Chatsamoka, We'll still, if both of them are running, we'd still have less vehicle capacity, because I think we had on the old Quick Attack, wasn't it 80 cars that they could carry? Or it was certainly more than 65. So, but at least we would be achieving a partial return to where we were with both ferries. So I think he's going to get a pretty strong message that it's important to us.
The Click can't carry fewer cars, I can't remember what that number is. 64. Gaps in the railing. I didn't know you had to be a marine architect to point something out. I pointed out to Mr. Mosley that there were huge gaps and very dangerous situation on the ferry. I think I can do that as a commissioner or as an individual. I went to a higher ed meeting as well in Port Angeles with Representative Theringer and Vandewey and Senator Hargrove there. And there's a lot of enthusiasm for this school at Fort Worden. $2 million to be supposedly set aside for the parks. However, everybody's kind of wondering about that $2 million at this point, given the fact that there's a bigger hole that the state's looking at than they thought. Representative Theringer, Vandewey, and Senator Hargrove all there, and I managed to get a chance to discuss the sand and gravel issue with each one of them individually for the possible. All three seem quite supportive of it. What else we got? I met with Dan Burden last week. Dan Burden does commercial redevelopment primarily all over the country. He lives in Port Townsend, however, he's only in Port Townsend he says about 20 days a year. The rest of the time he's traveling. But he's got an office here now, and his assistant Melissa will be here soon. I'm about to email him because I would like to see if I can get Melissa on our planning commission from District 1. Anyway, it was a lucky event. I was just walking by and happened to see him in his house and working. So